Night covers the Pacific Ocean. Water black as ink. Soft fog coils around the antenna. Still quietly sighs in the dark. The horizon strings warship lights like prayer beads, each bead avowed by borders in every night. The horizon strings warship lights like prayer beads, each bead avowed by borders in every night. The wind carries the smell of fuel kelp, and imagine the oolong tea mixing with white flare smoke like an old imperial edict from the east. How whisk aircraft carrier drifts like a floating city. Cold lights, discipline, every hour held at a distance. From the west, Chinese destroyers cleave the swell's gray paint like still wet calligraphy inked the night between them. Taiwan appears not as an island but as a sharp question, small trembling endlessly in salt haze. Low clouds hang like a burned library, pages of history fluttering, snagging on radar, then dissolving into the sea. Antennas turn like diviners reading bones, seeking the invisible footprints of aircraft missiles. What is coming? On deck, young sailors remember lullabies, cartoons, and the long siren of alarms that never seems to end in the compartment. Green screens blink like fish eyes, watching the ocean, watching people, watching a future that will not sleep. The stillness before conflict resembles a tea ritual. Every tiny motion weighs as heavily as centuries. Officers recite treaties, laws, maps, but the sea laughs, erasing ink lines with foam that outlives a lifetime. Far off, reef lights recall Fujian merchants, Hawaiian sailors, trading salt across 1,000 years. The Pacific names itself a witness, carrying wrecks and sunken prayers still unrotted in myth. The satellite glides like a mythic seabird, slicing the sea's face, dividing the soul beneath the sky. The sovereignty line cannot be seen, yet it is taut as a string, vibrating a thin metallic note through the night. The satellite glides like a mythic seabird, slicing the sea's face, dividing the soul beneath the sky. The sovereignty line cannot be seen, yet it is taut as a string, vibrating a thin metallic note through the night. The sailor remembers the South China Sea, Qingwash Mountains, and wonders which sea is truly home. Right now, the Kuroshio current embraces formations like a grandmother's hand, gentle, yet tugging toward the promises of an age. Below, a submarine is quiet as a whale worshipping darkness, carrying decisions cold and heavy, without words. The surface reflects flags, then breaks them into shards, reminding that symbols too are fragile before human eyes. Radio signals ring out, phrases rigid as ceremony, yet trembling like prayer in the empty spaces. Drones skim low like dragonflies, unblinking glass eyes, unable to understand pity for those under the cold salt rain. The digital map swells and contracts like lungs, panting with reports, with fear's rhythm in the shared chest. The sea is an old poet, turning each wave like a page, writing couplets in foam, then erasing them with a sigh. The wind bears incense from an imagined temple near Tai, slipping into armor, tightening the throat like a mother's unsaid words in silence. History scraped together like two swords on a rack not yet drawn in cramped steel belly. Red flares bloom like a second sun, sprinkling counterfeit blood on the water, announcing an ending along the horizon. A ship's horn howls like a lament, reminding that every command is paid for with youth and fog and smoke. Fire defense, missiles stand like a bamboo forest, waiting for storm, for fate, for error before the hour of judgment. In an instant, the sea becomes a sanctuary, where faith, doubt, ambition kneel together on silver waves. Before the first shot, fear has already spread like ink-meeting water, blackening words all the way into dreams. An American sailor looks at a family photo, thinking of freedom. If freedom too casts a nameless heavy shadow. A Chinese sailor strokes an ambulance, thinking of unity, yet unity too holds silent cracks in everyone's eyes. The wind tells of Ming-era sails, mistaken maps, empires that come and go like waves from ancient shores. Radar catches a target, a bright dot like a firefly in forest. Except this firefly has teeth made of steel fate, an officer passes the order in two languages and in silence, as though translating for the gods above the sea. Dawn does not arrive, it hovers, a pale bruise, and the sea keeps its secrets under glassy skin today still. Across the water, radios trade cautions like diplomats, each syllable wrapped in static, Each paws a cliff edge at noon above. Clouds stack like porcelain bowls. Below, sonar pings bloom like lotus bells in an unseen temple of salt air. The frigate's wake sketches calligraphy, then smears. The ocean edits every sentence, refusing any final signature from either side tonight. On screens, icons glide like chessmen, but the board is breathing. The squares are waves, impatient, alive beneath human hands. Somewhere in tea, morning markets open and mothers weigh fruit. Somewhere in Shanghai, commuters stream like rivers. History rides their shoulders, invisible, heavier than briefcases, heavier than rain this hour. The sailors taste coffee and see waiter, bitter twins. They joke softly as if laughter could pad the blast of fate. An old proverb surfaces, one mountain cannot hold two tigers. Yet here the mountain is water, shifting, endless between them. Orders arrive, flipped and polite. Politeness becomes armor, a thin lacquer over terror, shining in fluorescent light for everyone aboard. A helicopter circles like a wary hawk searching. His shoulders thrum joints the sea's chant, a rough harmony of warning. In the wardroom, maps show bright lines, but no map records grief. Grief drifts, sword-colored, into every breath here. A chaplain whispers psalms. Another sailor murmurs sutras. Their words meet me there, not arguing, simply holding the same trembling silence. The Pacific remembers migrations, canoes, and trade winds. It watched empires bow, then rise again in new uniforms of power. A missile to glance shut, a coffin its sound. Someone thinks of ancestors, someone thinks of unborn children at once. The first flash is distant, not yet fire, more like lightning trapped inside a metal throat, clearing its voice alone. Shockwaves do not speak, they shove. Cups rattle, hearts rattle, and the sea pretends it did nothing to anyone here. Smoke unfurls like ink and water, slow and deliberate. It writes a warning banner across the morning's face for all. A destroyer turns stern low. The wake becomes a scar, bright and foaming, then closes, leaving memory behind it only. Pilots climb into gray, guided by instruments in doubt. The sky feels like a courtroom ceiling, listening hard to engines. Down below, fishermen on small boats see flares. They cross themselves or bow and keep rowing anyway through cold spray. Propaganda posters on distant walls never mention this wet cold. Here ideologies just breast-fogging goggles in darkness again. A sailor touches the hull, feeling vibrations. He imagines the ship as a dragon, forced to guard strangers in silence. Another thinks of jazz and blues born from sorrow. He hears the engines riff, improvising around catastrophe without applause ever. Between salvos, there is waiting. Waiting stretches time like taffy, sweet with hope, then snapping bitter in the mouth today. The sea offers mirrors, starless blackness for fear, sudden silver for courage. Both vanish when touched by human eyes alone. Some call this deterrence, some call it destiny. The ocean calls it weather. Another storm crossing its skin without mercy. A drifting life ring bobs unclaimed. It becomes a halo for no saint, a circle of what might break next. Overhead, the sun finally appears indifferent. It kills missiles and goals alike, proving beauty can be cruel to everyone here. In Taiwan, a trembling question hangs between dawn and smoke, asking, who owns a home? Who owns pain and silence? The horizon tightens like a violin string, and every ship becomes a note trembling between command and confession. Metal corridors smell of bleach and fear. Sailors move like monks, careful not to spill the fragile future on the bridge. Voices stay calm, polished as porcelain. Beneath them, blood runs faster, an unseen tide. The ocean lifts itself in slow swells, as if saying, you borrow my silence, now pay interest. A goal drifts through smoke, white as paper. It carries no flag, yet everyone reads it as a warning. Someone remembers an old lighthouse story where lost men followed false stars. Tonight, the screens become those stars again. Taiwan stemples, incense curls their questions. Offshore radar curls their answers, and neither believes the other fully. The carrier's deck is a stage of contrast. Sunrise gold on paint, and shadowed helmets hiding human softness across the water. Destroyers keep formation. The sea keeps mischief, nudging holes like children testing grown-up patience. History arrived disguised as routine, checklists, hand signals, coded phrases, each one a ritual older than the uniforms. A sailor hums a folk tune, barely audible. The melody slips into machinery, turning gears into reluctant choirs. The Pacific opens its memory vault, island chants, migrant wakes, colonial charts, all swirling beneath the present's hard angles. A distant boom rolls like thunder. The mind invents meaning, because meaning is the only raft that floats here. Even the air feels patrolled, measured. That breath refuses borders, entering lungs without passports, leaving as shared mist in cramped bunks. Dreams flicker, dumplings, baseball, night markets, grandparents' hands. Then the alarm cuts the film short. Two philosophies stare through scopes. Order versus harmony, freedom versus unity, each claiming heaven as witness, each fearing emptiness. The sea's surface becomes a mirror of halves, splitting sunlight into blades, then softening them into harmless glitter again. A drifting buoy taps a hole small as a knot. The ship answers with silence. Too proud to admit flinching somewhere, a child draws an island on homeward paper. The pencil line shakes as if sensing engines over water, and the ocean, patient protagonist, gathers all names into one short syllable, asking, when you leave, what remains? The sea changes color at noon, blue turning to bruised steel, as if the Pacific wears armor for them on a Chinese deck. A red flag snaps like a whip on an American mast. Stripes flutter like measured breath. Between waves, silence gathers thick as lacquer. It coats every thought, making even doubt shine with discipline. The carrier's shadow crosses the water enormous. The ocean accepts it and shrugs, embracing it with sparkle. A destroyer's siren is brief, embarrassed. It sounds like a throat clearing before a verdict no one wants. Seabirds wheel overhead, careless historians. The cry stitched yesterday to tomorrow, indifferent to the Sultan on ranks below. Engine rooms throb like ancient drums. Each piston repeats one question, one advance, retreat, until meaning dissolves into heat. In T's back alleys, rain ticks on scooters. Offshore, the same rain ticks on missiles, equal in cold. In coastal shrines, sea gods receive oranges. Out here, the sea god receives metal and asks for more quietly. A radio warning repeats, formal as a treaty. The static between words feels like ghosts arguing in a drowned library. The Pacific remembers opium era. Gunboats remembers island annexations. It tastes old iron and recognizes the flavor. Smoke thins, then returns like a stubborn story. It refuses closure, circling the fleet as if seeking a face. A sailor watches a jellyfish blow below. Its soft lantern mocks the hard light of targeting screens above. Commanders speak of esco ladders. The sea laughs because ladders rot in salt and storms climb without rungs. A missile rises, not roaring, insisting. Its plume is a white calico throat written against the sky's blue paper. For one heartbeat, everyone holds still. Even waves flatten, as if listening for the universe to approve the sentence, then impact far off a blunt punctuation. Water leaps, then collapses, swallowing the shout like a secret again in the churn. Debris spins like fallen banners. Each fragment becomes a small continent of loss, drifting without citizenship. The sun keeps shining, almost obscene, yet gills smoke into beauty, proving nature can betray every moral expectation, and Taiwan's question remains, sharper after each blast, while the ocean's voice deepens, saying, I endure, you pass. Afternoon tilts toward amber, and the sea becomes a brass gong waiting for the next strike to ring again. Today on the bridge, a captain sips cold water, tasting countries in it, and hearing maps whisper under glass softly inside across the formation. Signals blink like fireflies trapped in jars, each pulse a promise, each pause a threat to night through. A young radar operator thinks of mythology where dragons guard seas. Now dragons wear antenna and regulations everywhere at once. In a nearby galley, rice and bread share steam like rival prayers rising toward the same indifferent ceiling above all. The ocean's swell lifts hulls in unison, a reluctant waltz proving even enemies can be choreographed by gravity alone here. From distant islands, radio hymns and pop songs leak into static, cultural ghosts hitchhiking on encrypted waves. All day long, a missile battery waits fingers on switches. Patience is its liturgy, restraint its temporary mercy for strangers nearby in fog. Far below, coral gardens tremble from concussions, ancient cathedrals of color. The medic types bandages with steady hands, knowing history remembers generals but bleeds to unnamed palms. First, each time always between orders, someone opens a novel. Printed C inside it feels kinder than the real one outside his home. The Pacific speaks in contrast, Lafayette calm beside a smoke, lullaby swirling in one breath. A reconnaissance plane sketches circles overhead like a wary halo. The sky becomes a ceiling of surveillance for both sides. In Washington and Beijing, speeches sharpen. Offshore, each syllable becomes wind, and wind becomes consequences over salt water today, again. Taiwan's mountains are unseen, yet imagine a spine of green faith. Their shadow stretches into every chart on every screen. A sailor pulls a paper crane, greasing hope into geometry, then tucks it beside ammunition. Quiet protest against steel. Night approaches again, and with it the metaphysical weight. Is war a storm or a mirror for our souls alone? The sea answers by swallowing light, turning flares into fallen stars, reminding everyone that endings sink quickly in its mouth. Yet somewhere a monk strikes a bell when the sailor hears it. Misfired as sonar, still comforting in the deep. So the Pacific keeps narrating, protagonist and graveyard, insisting that every nation is temporary, but water endures beyond our flags. Night returns like a curtain of ink, and the Pacific inhales hiding ships the way memory hides grief from daylight. Deck lights dim to ember, turning helmets into faceless lanterns, and turning fear into something almost ceremonial. Again over the water, radar sweeps trace invisible fans, like monks raking sand, searching patterns that never stay put. A distant thunder is not weather now. It is intention, translated into pressure, translated into trembling bones beneath steel. On one ship, someone plays a harmonica softly. On another, someone recites a poem, both offerings to darkness. The ocean listens without judgment, then answers with a long swell, as if saying, "Your voices are small, yet real." A flare rises slow and bright, like a lantern for the dead. It paints faces red and leaves them paler in the red light. Flags look like wounds. In the black water, those wounds become reflections, double, multiplied, endless. Commands pass through headsets like prayers through temples, precise, repeated, until the words lose meaning and become breath alone. A helmsman feels the wheel vibrate, a heartbeat borrowed from engines. He wonders who truly steers man or history across the horizon. Silhouettes drift like islands made of iron. Distance becomes mercy, but mercy is thinner than fog. Somewhere, a satellite watches silently, a cold star with a ledger. It records everything, forgives nothing. Below decks, a sailor writes a message he may never send, folding love into sentences that wobble under alarms. Above decks, the wind is sharp as a blade. It slices conversations short, leaving only nods, only eyes, only waiting. The Pacific remembers older wars, older graves. It holds them all not as trophies, but as stones in its throat. The sonar bing blooms like a bell underwater, and the deep answers back with silence so dense it feels alive. Two fleets circle their own shadows, wary animals at a river. The river is infinite, and still they thirst. Taiwan's unseen coastline becomes an idea, bright and fragile, like paper held too close to a candle's flame. And the sea, metaphysical and physical, keeps whispering the same paradox. To claim me is to lose yourself. When the next flash comes, it is brief, like a blink, yet in that blink, whole lifetimes rearranged forever. If you find this story thought-provoking, please leave a like. If you have a different perspective, feel free to comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see each other again in future videos.